Hey kids, Dad here. It is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. It's 10:43 a.m. I've not yet gone for my run today, so I'm waiting on a work deadline sometime in the next 80 minutes. So I'm on standby for that. It has been an interesting couple of days here though. I had last night I was asked to lead a meeting about sobriety for about 30 or 40 people. And I've done that several times. That was no big deal. Just a bunch of kind of random folks. And then tonight, after work at about 7 o'clock, I get to go to speak at a meeting at the Hennepin County Correctional Facility, the workhouse. So people who are like, they're kind of in jail, but then they get to leave the jail to go to work during the day, and they got to go back to the jail. It's called a workhouse for Hennepin County, which is like Minneapolis. There's a bunch of men there, and I get to speak for, goodness, probably like 45 minutes. Get to tell my whole story and talk to them essentially about my journey, and then how I found sobriety, how I found God, and how much it's transformed my perspective, my decisions, my actions, really how it's changed my life this past couple years. So that'll be interesting, talking to a bunch of guys who are in jail. So yeah, I've done that once or twice before, but it's always very interesting. I'm never quite sure what to say, because as much as your dad has made mistakes, never spent time in jail. So, but in any event, I wanted to get into gratitude, talk about an interesting group today. So last I talked, I think I mentioned, I was talking about Jake from Sons of the American Legion. I'm going to fast forward a little bit into the summer of 2024. So Vetsgiving was Thanksgiving 2023. Jake and Sal were, fall 2023 into early 2024. Well, mid 2024, I had that apartment in Egan still, and I'm doing jujitsu a couple nights a week. I'm volunteering with Sons of the American Legion. I'm volunteering with Project Got Your Back, volunteering with Warriors Next Adventure. So I'm staying busy, right? And things are stable-ish, right? During that time, I'm getting to talk to you kids on the phone, three times a week. Remember those phone calls? We'd jump on a Zoom call. And the apartment, I had the basics that I needed, right? Well, I ran into this guy named Jeff. And Jeff was a former Green Beret. So me and Jeff got along pretty quick. And he worked for an organization called Sofas for Soldiers. And by work, it was volunteer. It's a volunteer nonprofit organization, so he really just did it for fun and for free. And what Sofas for Soldiers does in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area is they help out veterans who have next to nothing, and they get them couches. They get them some of the basic essentials, the things that some of the folks in the community had pulled together for me a year prior, that prior fall. So I'm talking to Jeff. I'm like, man, that's such a great organization. That's such a great mission. Having somebody, some amazing people come out of nowhere and help get me back on my feet with some basics, that saved my life literally. And he's like, well, yeah, do you still need anything? And I'm like, well, I really have all the essentials, but sure, there's a handful of things that would be nice. And he's like, well, here, go on our website. And I go on their website, and it wasn't just sofas. They had everything. They had absolutely everything. So what I did is I went on their website, and I figured, well, Jeff seems like he's really eager, wants to do something for me. So I just selected some little odds and ends that would maybe save me $100, $200, money I didn't really have anyways, because those calls with you kids were expensive. And, things like a butter holder, things like a crock pot. So kind of kitchenware essentials, maybe not essentials, a little bit of luxuries, very, very simple luxuries, right? A crock pot. Figured that'd be really nice. I could make some chili. Um, so I selected, a half dozen of those. And I told Jeff, yeah, you guys are located over in Baldwin, Wisconsin, something like that. I'm like, yeah, I can come over. I can swing over like maybe this weekend or next weekend. I can come out that way and pick it up. That'd be incredible. And my intent was to do that and then give them, $100 for it, and help them out a little bit and get some stuff I need. And apparently they had this big warehouse full of stuff, donations that they had. And Jeff's like, no, no, no. And 3 days later, Jeff pulls up with a semi-trailer. This big semi-trailer says Sofas for Soldiers on it. And I was stunned. He had packed into that semi-trailer not just a crock pot and a butter tray and a set of silverware kind of thing. It had a nice couch, because the one that had been donated to me was getting pretty ratty. It was pretty beat up. But when I had nothing, it was great. Well, he brought what looked like a brand new couch. And we probably spent an hour and a half to unload all the stuff. And at that time, my apartment went from being a place where I had the bare essentials to where I had a very comfortable place to live. It was much more than I could have possibly needed. But I felt guilty taking it. I talked to Jeff about that. I said, man, I don't really need all this stuff, and I don't want to take it from somebody else who may have nothing. And he said, no, this is, we've got a warehouse full and we get more donations all the time, and we need to clear it out, and this will make space for some other stuff. He's like, don't worry. So I just asked, I tried to give him a little bit of money and he wouldn't take it. And I asked him, well, what can I do to say thank you? And he said, well, if you want to write a letter, just saying, that we were helpful, kind of a testimonial, that'd be really nice, because that might help us do some fundraising down the road. Absolutely, Jeff. Wrote up a nice full-page letter about how much it meant to me, what Sofas for Soldiers did for me, and gave that to him. And hopefully maybe he was able to use that to show some donors, hey, look, here's the kinds of things that Sofas for Soldiers does for people. But I thought with this gratitude, I would put in a plug. So I don't know if by the time you kids see this video, if Sofas for Soldiers will still be around. But if you kids ever run into somebody who sounds like they may have been in my similar situation, a veteran who's got next to nothing, starting over in life, for whatever reason, divorce, house fire, just left the military and they don't have anything yet, look up Sofas for Soldiers. Fantastic organization, fantastic one. And if you kids ever find yourself with $50 in your pocket and you want to give it to a good cause, well, Sofas for Soldiers, they're the real deal. So I'm grateful for them. The fun thing, again, like the gal from Roseville, when I moved out of that apartment, moved into a house in St. Paul that was already furnished, and then ultimately down to Bravo Zulu House, I put a lot of that stuff in a storage locker. When I came down to Bravo Zulu House, I realized, again, Bravo Zulu is fully furnished. I didn't really need much. I needed like a desk. I needed to bring my desk and my TV, and that's about it. So I had a whole storage locker, like a little garage stall with this, the couch and kitchen table and all those things. And the nice thing was I was able to find some people who needed it, and I was able to pay it forward. I was able to gift it forward to some folks. And that was my way of saying thank you to Sofas for Soldiers in a way. And to the gal from Roseville, Michelle, to Greg, to Nick, to others who helped me out. All that stuff that I received got passed forward to people, some low-income families, primarily, in the Eagan area. So anyhow, I love you kids. Miss you kids. I believe today's your last day of school, June 4th, 2026. Hope you kids are excited, having a great day, cleaning out your lockers, throwing away all those old books, and racing home to start your summer. Love you kids. We'll talk soon.